Hi friends, this is Krish Naidu. Actually, I have been watching various social media pages, and in those social media pages, people were looking for help in how to crack the interviews. So this is the reason which has motivated me to make this video on how to crack the interviews. So everybody of us, all of us, have to go through the interview process in our life. Some of the people goes through this process from the time they enter into kindergarten or the school, because they have to appear for the entrance exam, then for the interviews. So this happens, this particular interview experience some people notices in their life from the moment they are entering into the school time. So some people are very confident, some people are not very confident. Some people are very skillful in cracking the interviews, some people are not very skillful in cracking the interviews. So what is the reason, what is the difference between those people who are very confident or who are skillful in cracking the interviews, and people who are not skillful in cracking the interviews? What is the difference between those two people segment? So we it is very interesting to study about the people who can crack the interview skillfully and people who cannot crack the interview skillfully. It's a very important difference we have to notice. So what is the difference? The difference is very simple. They are aware about the process. They are sure about the process. They don't think too much about the outcome. They think about the process, the activities to reach towards the process. You might have heard uh, a very interesting philosophy: focus on the present, not on the future. Focus on the present, not on the past. So, this is what the crux which actually develops the process and which makes the people skillful and confident in cracking the interviews. So, what you have to do is you have to focus on the present, not on the past or in the future. The future is all about the outcome, the past is all about the failures or the success. So, when we focus on the failures or success of the past, when we focus too much about the success of the future, then we are lost in the mind on the current goal. The current goal is the process. So this is what the important psychological change you have to bring, that you have to focus on the present, neither on the past nor on the future. The first thing. Second thing is you know the outcome. The outcome is cracking the interviews. When you're planning to crack the interviews or when you're desirous to crack the interview, then you have to derive the method of cracking the interview, and you have to focus on those method but not on the outcome side, right? So what is that process which you have to focus? The most important aspects of the interview is your CV, your curriculum vitae or resume. The second is a job description. Third is the hiring manager or the recruiter. And fourth is the company, right? This is the four important aspects you need to have the grip. You need to know what is your CV, what is your resume. You need to know your skill sets. You need to know how you achieve the performance, means the process and the KPIs of your performance. So know in your CV that what were your achievements and how did you achieve those, the process of achieving those goals. So this will enhance your grip on your resume. Whatever you have performed, you know how you have performed. Performance and how you have done the performance. This aspect will give you the control on your CV. And the second aspect is the job description of the new job. So, what you have done till now and what you have to do. What is the gap between what you have done and what you have to do? So, those two areas you have to work out. If the gap is very high, the gap is very high, the likelihood of getting a job is very less. If the gap is very less, the likelihood of getting a job is very high, right? So the two aspects I have discussed. The first one is what were your performance in the past companies and the current companies, and what was the process of, or what had been the process to achieve those performance. So that is, if you have that clarity, the likelihood of getting a job is increasing. If you do not have that grip, the likelihood of job is going to decrease. The second aspect is the gap between what you know and what you have done, and what is your new job description looking for. Higher the gap, lesser the likelihood of getting the job, right? But I'm not discouraging you to apply. If you think you can achieve performance, you can do justice for the new job, even though if your skill gap or the CV gap is very high. So I will recommend you to go for the attempt, not stop there. But you should be aware that where is the gap between the job description and your current resume. What is the gap? You should be aware of that, right? Of course, higher the gap, the likelihood decreases. Lesser the gap, the likelihood of getting a job increases, right? Third is the hiring manager or the recruiter. So try to do a research on the hiring manager. If you have the idea that who is going to be the hiring manager, try to do research, understand his credentials, his potential, which will help you to derive your strategy of communication. If you have the knowledge of the hiring manager, then it is going to be very useful for you. Generally, it is very difficult to get the information about the hiring manager, but these days, a lot of recruiters are sharing the information of the hiring manager. Okay. The fourth aspect is the company. You're going to you're looking for the interview or looking to join in the company. Try to do an extreme research on the company's products, services, customers, clients, processes, the interview process, salaries, facilities, and the most important is the culture. These days, the companies are looking for the culture fit people. The culture fit people means your psyche and the company's psyche should match. Like-minded people, like-purposed people. So if the psychology of the company, the psychology of yourself, the gap between them is very high, then the likelihood of getting a job decreases, and vice versa. Right? So the four aspects I mentioned is the gap between your CV and the job description. Second aspect is the awareness of your performance and how you have done the performance. Second aspect. Third aspect is the hiring manager. Fourth aspect is the company culture, the company performance, the company products, the company services. Right? These four areas you must do research and focus on these four areas and bring the clarity. And based upon this, the clarity, derive a strategy. Okay. The second layer of preparation for the interviews is on three aspects. Every interviewer or every company try to testify the interviewer or the candidate on these three aspects. One is technical expertise. Second is the communication ability. And third is the psychology. So try to understand how you rate yourself on these three aspects: skill or technical expertise, how solid you are in what the company is looking for based upon the job description. You know what are the outcomes, you know how to achieve those outcomes, or that is called process to achieve the outcomes. So these two areas defines your technical expertise. So read the JD. JD means job description, and understand what the company is looking for, what kind of outcomes the company is looking for, and you also make a checklist whether you know how to achieve those outcomes. Do you have the awareness about the process of achieving those outcomes? That is going to define your technical expertise. The second is the communication potential. Why the companies check the communication potential? Because communication is the medium through which you try to connect with the people and influence them to move towards the objective. So the communication potential is very important. The person who is working in a company, he has to communicate not only the people working in the company, but also people who are not working in the company. They are called clients or the vendors or the government officers. So a person who is working in the company, he has to communicate with the people to influence them to move towards the objective. So this is very important aspect. If the hiring manager or a recruiter looks into the candidate. And the third area is psychology. So how a person resolves the mental conflicts which he has in his head in a way which will reduce or which will minimize his stress and maximize his confidence. So a company looks for a person who can work under stress by minimizing those stress, by finding the ways to work to minimize the stress, right? So the company looks for psychology also. So work on the three aspects. Technical expertise means you know what are the outcomes and how to achieve those outcomes. Second aspect is communication potential. You know how to influence the people in a positive way to achieve or to move towards the outcome. And third is the psychology, means you are in a position, you are skillful in resolving the mental conflicts in such a way that you minimize the stress and maximize your confidence. So these three areas is what you have to work for. And I also have discussed the top four aspects, that the gap between JD and your CV, right? The second thing is your CV, that how what have you have achieved and how you have achieved. Third is the hiring manager, and fourth is the culture of the company, the performance of the company, the services of the company, the products of the company, and study them. Right? If you work on these two layers, you are, and the first layer is focus on the present, not on the past and the future. So the three layers I have discussed: focus on the present, not on the past or the future. Second is the four layer, the four aspects of the second layer, that is work on your CV, understand your performance and how you have achieved the performance. Second, your CV and the JD gap. Third is your hiring manager, and fourth is a culture fit or the product and service of the company. The second layer, the four aspects, and the third layer is technical expertise, then your communication potential, and third is the psychology. If you work on these three layers, you're sure that you have cracked the process and you're sure that you're confident in appearing the interviews, right? So guys, please subscribe our channel SCM Radio M, which is a product from Mathnal. We're going to bring a lot of content on various business aspects on this channel. So we would like you to take the advantage of this initiative from Mathnal, which is a supply chain analytics consulting and training firm. So we request you to take this opportunity, take this advantage, and also we request you to invite your friends and families all to subscribe this channel. So look forward to have your subscription, and and keep watching us and motivating us with your comments and shares. And you can also write us on our email ID krish@mathnal.com, or you can WhatsApp us or call us on +91 7989 366 381. Okay, guys, have a nice day and hope this video helps you in achieving your interviews. So, okay, bye.